Here we go. Welcome everyone to episode 40. We've hit number 40 and we are celebrating today our 40th episode with no other than Ifbb pro figure, Missy Sandeman. Thank you and welcome for coming on our show today.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. I've watched many of your shows. I have a new sauna, an infrared sauna, and I take my my little iPhone down there and watch the shows in the sauna while I'm taking my saunas every day. So
that is so cool. Good. Oh, thank you. Thank you for supporting us.
Oh, sure. I love it. I love it.
You know, you have been an absolute inspiration and we have been trying to get you on our show. As you know, we've been going back and forth for about 6 months anyway. But we were speaking off air and we actually said, we were speaking to you saying that about 12 months ago, we were watching, you came up in our stories, or you came up in Wendy Fortino stories as, you know, you doing one of your shows. And I think you placed like second or third, and it was in a over 50s or 45s or one of those shows. And I was like, Holy Mary, Mother and Joseph, it says that she's 70 years old and you're now 71. And I was like, and she's a figure pro. And I'm like, because Rose and I were like, oh, we better hang our heels up, but maybe our day's done or we're on the other side, bit long in the tooth, what have you. And here you are, 25 shows thereabouts with 8 pro shows under your belt right now, still charging it with no intent on actually slowing down. So I'm like, I need to know this woman's secrets. She is incredible. And I bet you there are other women out there right now that are in exactly the same boat as what Rose and myself were. And, you know, you can actually shed some light now, you know, because you have such a unique story within yourself, being, you know, 71 years young, a pro figure athlete, a mother, a husband, and grandmother, and you run your own business. Holy moly. Like, just wow.
Well, it's been a journey. I actually got back into the sport about, it's almost 8 years now, and I was running for many years in between. I was a bodybuilder back, and I started in 81, and I was in the sport for about 4 years, and it was bodybuilding back then. It wasn't, you know, we were bodybuilders like the guys were bodybuilders. Yeah. And there wasn't figure, there wasn't bikini. It was a whole different sport than it is now. And I took it to as far as I wanted to take it. And then I got married, and during that time, and I wanted a family, and I thought, you know, I don't have time for both. So and I've always been a runner. So I've always been a person that had to have a goal. If I didn't have a goal, I suffer from a little depression, and my dad had it. So I really don't suffer from it, but it creeps in there every now and then. And that's how I deal with my depression is exercise and working out. And so whatever it may be, I have to have something that's out there, you know, for me to set my goals to. And so I did 28 marathons and many shorter runs. I was on teams and I did pretty well. I was a good runner. I loved it. And I live in the mountains, and I have trails that I just run out of my house and go for miles and miles and run with the bears and the whole bit. And
oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, people say, aren't you afraid? And I'm, well, little, but I have respect for them, but you know. So after, you know, how many years, 30 years, 35 years of running, that much, my body at my age, I was 64 when I pretty much stopped running, but I was running with my friend who's an ultra runner, does the 100-mile runs. And she said, you know, Missy, you really should look into bodybuilding again. And I said, I'm 64. And I was, you know, 117 pounds. I'm 145 now.
Wow.
And so, yeah. And so she said, you should look into it. And I said, well, okay, well, yeah, we kept running, and I came home and got on the computer and I went, I could do this. I mean, I was a skinny thing, so I was skinny in my first show, and I went in as a physique competitor because I didn't want to wear heels. No way, I'm a runner girl,
God.
right? I'm not wearing heels. Jeez. I'm 64. I'm not going to wear heels. Well, I competed as a physique competitor for 2 years, I think, until my coach, who was being coached by Wendy and Matt, and I kind of started following Wendy and Matt, and I thought, I really like them. And I liked my coach, but I'm not a coach hopper, but they just looked very interesting to me. So I called them and we had a chat, and I moved over to them. And Wendy said, first thing, she said, you look really good and you look good in your contest, but you'd be a great figure competitor. And you got the body, the broad shoulders. So I changed over to figure through them.
Well, if Wendy Fortino says that, you need to do something, you would just do it. It's Wendy. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Well, at first I said, oh my gosh, I have to wear those heels. And she said, you'll get used to them. They're because my feet are the things that are the problematic with the
well.
Running, yeah. But come to find out that these shoes, these plastic shoes that we wear, feel better on my feet than any shoe I wear, because it's like a cast. They're so tight.
So true.
And it's funny because Wendy's always saying when we're doing our when I'm doing my posing practice with her, she goes, now, don't you need to sit down? I said, no, my feet feel great. It's the only time they really do is when I'm practicing posing or on stage. So anyway, that's kind of the journey. And I've been with Wendy and Matt for, let's see, 6 years now, almost 7 years. So and 6 years, I guess. Yeah. So
you keep getting better and better and better with them as well. So my goodness. And take us.
Yeah, thank you. I really am excited about every season. It just seems Matt is such a good coach, and he knows exactly how to tweak, I mean, little things that may need tweaking. And I think that, and I'm like, I just listen to every word he says, and hang on every word he says, and I do exactly what he says. So I'm a pretty good client.
The dream client.
You are a dream client. I'm so curious to I guess you've been listening to your story. You've been in this sport you've been in, I guess, bodybuilding, and then you've crossed over, but you started this 42 years ago. I know this.
We were born.
The year we were born, right? So you started bodybuilding then. I'm so curious. What have you seen change? I guess from that time back then when you were competing, 42 years ago, as opposed to now. How have you seen the sport evolve? I guess
it's totally changed. However, I do look back at the magazines, and I was in a couple of them back then, and there were some pretty jacked women, but I mean, really, they could compete now. They were pretty. I didn't get that big. I didn't do what they did to get that big, and but it's totally evolved. Like I said, there's, it was bodybuilding back then, and now it's
so just the one division. Was it just the one division back then? Yes. And it was no heels and the muscularity posing, and
I competed with some pretty, amazing people, but they had coaches, I'm sure. I didn't know because Carly Dunlap was one of my friends, but I don't know if she had a coach. She probably did because she was an Olympian. And then I competed with Diana Dennis and a lot of girls. I can't even remember because I was doing it because it was like fun, and I get up there and just be Missy, you know. And now it's like you got to be serious about it. You cannot get up there and just be goofy, you know. I mean, and have fun and just, oh, look at me and point to my calves, and you know, that's kind of what I did back then, you know. And now I'm like, it's my life, you know, it's my lifestyle. And it's changed dramatically. And to get into it, and it's changed dramatically in 8 years since I've been in it.
Yeah, take us through that, Missy, like from when you entered because you'd have to climb through the ranks again, right? You'd have to go from being an amateur and, you know, and then going, well, I don't know if I can ever turn pro. Like in Australia, we get 2 opportunities a year to turn pro. I mean,
well, I didn't even think about it, Lisa. I wasn't even a pro. What's pro? In fact, any story?
I love you.
No, seriously.
I love it.
No, it's true. I didn't, you know, I was just like, okay, this is fun. I'm going to go out there and do this. Well, because, you know, the IFBB was a thing when I was working out. I mean, when I was competing back then, but it was very new. And, but, you know, so what I got my pro card in Pittsburgh, and it was with Wendy and Matt. I got it as a figure. But, and so I was with my old coach, because it's a long story, but he stayed in my room with his other client because he didn't have a room to stand. And we went out to dinner, and I said, you know, I really want to compete in the Tahoe show again. He looks at me and he goes, you're never going to be able to compete in the Tahoe show again. You're a pro. And that's an NPC. But I mean, I think they have, they have bikini. He says, you're a pro now. You can't. I went, no, but I love that show. He goes, you can't compete in that show.
You're too good. I'm sorry. You're too good for that show now. You're not allowed to be there anymore. And you're like, oh.
I don't know if I'm too good for it. There's some pretty good NPC athletes.
Well, you can go, can I at least guest pose?
Yeah, you're like, can I guest pose there?
No, they won't let me guess, but that's one strength that I really need to work on. I get scared on stage, but I'm working on it. I've even had hypnotists to you know, calm myself down before I go on stage. Yeah, so it's a thing with me, but yeah. So these 8 years have changed dramatically. I mean, the judging is so different, you know. I mean, you didn't have to have the depth in your muscles that you have now, you know, and that is a hard thing to get when you're my age, is that depth. I can have the broad shoulders, I can get the, you know, I can get the caps on my shoulders, but that back, like you guys have, is hard. It's a tough one.
So, you know, coming through the ranks now and getting the best out of what your body's giving you, how have you overcome some of the, you know, myisms and the you know, the challenges, so to speak, that not just, you know, black and white, in fact and figure, as you get older things get harder, but also your own personal programming and belief system around what you're capable of doing and how you are going to go about that. Like, I'm too old, I could never be pro. I'm losing elasticity in my skin. Will I be able to stand up and hold my own next to, which you have, next to ladies and girls that are even younger than me? Like, how have you worked through that?
You know, I rely a lot on Wendy and Matt giving me the confidence to do it, because they really are great coaches, and they really have helped me, you know, with my confidence, because that is something that, you know, I mean, imagine yourself being 71 years old up there with the girls that I was up there with in the NorCal. It's a little intimidating. But
Just
I
a
have to
little
say
bit.
that,
Just a
you
little
know,
bit.
but these girls, sorry about that, but these girls have been, I mean, all of them are so cool. You get in the elevator with them and they're like, oh, you look great. And they get, you know, I mean, these are Olympians, you know, that have helped me along, and not just Wendy and Matt, but a lot of other, you know, people that I've met in along the way. And that's been wonderful. And then just, sometimes I wake up and I go, why am I doing this? I think we all do. You know, you know, am I ever going to get there? Am I, you know, I don't like the way this looks or that looks, but I have a really supportive husband. He's amazing. He was a pro athlete for 10 years, you know, in the NFL. He knows what it takes, and he really admires what it makes me kind of tear up, because he's been amazing, really amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, my family, they're not all amazing about it. My kids, my daughter is very supportive. She's a personal trainer, and she's
Oh,
very supportive. But
yeah.
you know, this takes time away from them, your family. You know, no matter how you slice it, it's, you know, it does. And you know, I'm not your typical grandma.
Yeah.
I'm not
Very
there for
far,
them all.
very far from it. And so, you know, this is the big, we were talking about this off air as well. We all have, you know, like, you're very goal orientated. You find that you need to have a goal in order to work towards something. But why this? Why have you done the full circle and come back into it? And why are you still in it after 8 years? What does it
Because
do?
I knew I could do it. I knew I could do it. I loved it. And I always had weights in my house. Even when I ran, I had my 20, 25-pound dumbbells. I do, you know, lunges and overhead presses. And I mean, I wasn't like I am now. You know, I have a gym in my house, so I'm able to, you know, really live there.
Yeah.
I have to talk myself into going outside for 20 minutes a day to get the
Vitamin
you know,
D.
vitamin D that I
Mm.
need, you know.
Mm.
But I pretty much, because I'm a personal trainer too, and I'm pretty busy with my clients, and so it's, you know, it's just finding time for all these things, and
You just
it's tough.
live and breathe bodybuilding, don't you? Because it's your job
Yes,
as well. It's
yes,
your job, and then you
yes.
do it for a living. Like, you know, yeah, you do it for a sport as well. Like, absolutely amazing. How long have you been?
71-year-old
Oh,
professional athlete as well. Like,
like, yeah,
do you pinch yourself sometimes?
You know, I know I am, and you know, I have my pro card up in my gym, you know, displayed, and I've got my medals displayed. My client told me, you need to put your medals up. You need to display what you do, because I'm not one of those kind of, look at me, you know, look what I've done. I still can't believe I'm a pro bodybuilder. It's like, are you serious? Am I really doing this at my age? You know, I look at my husband sometimes and I go, can you believe this? You know, I mean, I believe it because it's a lot of work.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
y'all know what
Actually,
I'm
that's a
talking
great segue into the next question. So, being 71, what have you found? So, I guess I know myself, I'm 42, and I know that compared to when even I began, you know, 12 years ago or so, that I'm like, oh, I've noticed a little change, just little changes in the way that I recover. I've got to be a bit more conscious of sleeping, you know, and making sure that I'm doing everything, just, you know, making sure I'm doing everything right, or I suffer from it. Whereas, you know, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, I could do whatever. I could go out and
Like a boy in
drink
a china shop.
alcohol
Yeah.
and then go to the gym the next morning and feel absolutely fine. Now it's like, yeah, alcohol's not going to happen. I'm so clean with my eating, even in my off season. So have you found things have changed, and how do you counteract those physical changes in your body as you begin to age?
You know, I I guess I feel like things have changed. I'm one of these people that stopped having my cycle when I was 38 years old.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was, I've never had a normal, female cycle. I mean, I did when I was younger, but I maybe because I was so athletic, and so, I was a volleyball player and a surfer, and I always ran. And this is a product of needing to, do something to make mental health. It really,
Yeah.
I think I've always been this way since I was a little kid. And it just, I have more energy. I tell my guests and my clients, because they always say, how do you do this? I mean, because I have a hard time going to sleep at night. Once I'm asleep, I wear a Fitbit, and I know what my sleep cycles are and stuff. I get good REM, I get good deep, but I just sleep like 5.5, 6 hours a night, which I know is not good. But then I get up and I get on my Peloton and I go for 45 minutes. Then I make breakfast for my B&B, and then I go downstairs and train my clients. Then I work out for 3.5 hours, and then I get back on the Peloton for 45 minutes. And, on a day-to-day basis, I'm pretty good. I do have those days where I am dragging, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to sleep, is what basically, I think sleep is so important.
It
And
is.
so,
Very underrated.
But you get it. So yeah, that's really beautiful news. It's great news, because it just goes to show you, if you're looking after yourself, you're eating well, and you're keeping yourself active, that you can have longevity, you can have all of the things that you want to have.
well, I hope so. I hope this, if it doesn't, if I doesn't kill me, I'm
Well,
incredible.
It
But
hasn't yet.
not yet. Not yet. No, I've always been one that has to keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot sit down and watch a movie. It drives my husband nuts because I can't sit still. I'm up cleaning, or I'm a painter, that I paint, right? I'm a
Right.
yeah, I'm a
You
oil
didn't know
painter.
that.
No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
I'm a
Wow.
yeah, I do watercolors and oils, and I sell my paintings. I have a website if you guys wanted to check it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
I'll
let's
send it
share
to you.
it too.
But so I'm always doing something.
Yeah.
I think I'm just born with that kind of energy.
I feel you. I hear you.
You've got,
I'm
and I
exactly
think
the
that's how
same.
you regulate it as well,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's how you regulate yourself, going, I have all this energy. What am I going to do with it? Because if I don't do anything with it, I'm going to go insane. And I can relate. I can relate to that. And even like, training for 3.5 hours a day. Like I know what I'm like after 1 hour training. So, that just is test. And at 71 to be training 3 hours a day, not including any cardio that you might be doing first thing in the morning. It's like, well, this woman's got a lot of, there's a reason why she's a pro, and, you have a lot of energy and you have a lot of stamina, and you're using it to your advantage to do something with. So
yeah, it's I don't look at it as a job, but in some silly way, it kind of is. Like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to deviate. And because everybody says to me, "Oh, come on," how people say, "Come on, we can go out and you can have a cheat meal on Tuesday night." No, I can't. Matt told me it's Saturday. I'm not going to have it. I don't deviate from my program. I am very disciplined. And well, I wasn't always that way. When I was bodybuilding before, you talk about having cocktails the night before a show, and we used to drink a little tequila backstage. And I mean, I don't drink anything anymore. I don't even touch it.
Yeah.
For 8 years.
Back when we started, that was the thing, that you'd have like a shot of whiskey, or like you'd have a shot before you go out on stage, a little bit for your nerves.
Vascularity.
It makes you, yes, it makes you vascular. And gosh, and
right.
I don't drink either. And you know, gosh, I could imagine like if I did that before going on stage now, I'd probably fall over myself.
Oh, but a lot of people do. I see people that are, have their little flasks back there, and I just couldn't. Like now I'm just so, programmed to how it should be, and maybe I should. Maybe
So-
that would calm me down a little bit.
So where to now? I mean, you've already
Yes,
done,
what next?
have you done 2 shows this year?
Let's see, 1, 2, and Wendy's Wendy's trying to talk me into doing one with her up in the Sasquatch up in
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
So I don't know if she's going to do it or not, but that would be 4.
That would be
Wow. So, oh my God. You blow my mind. You are just you're amazing. You're so inspirational. I know I keep saying that to you, but it's such an inspiration. Just how the dedication, the commitment to the task, the commitment to the plan. And, it's everything that you've said is exactly the mindset that you need to succeed in the sport. But you're also a little bit of wisdom behind that too, of like, hey, I'm 71 and I'm up here doing it. And I like that sort of analogy of it. It's like a job, because that's how I approach my prep too. It's non-negotiable. These are the things I must do every day,
Yeah. And the way I look at it is, and I always run this by my husband, I only have a short window. You guys have another 30 years, girls.
That's what I love hearing that.
Well, we do now because we do now
because
no, everybody does. I mean, you have seen some and probably have experienced some amazing transformations of people that I see on Instagram and on social media that are just, I go, oh my gosh. I mean, people ask me, I've always been an athlete. I have not ever gotten, overweight or, sick from being an athlete, from being overweight or not working out or not taking care of myself. But there's some people that have started with diabetes and, overweight. And I'm sure you have clients that have, and they've transformed themselves into these amazing athletes. And that's impressive to me. They are my inspiration. They, because like I said, so that's kind of how I look at, my clients now. I used to train athletes. I used to train runners and climbers and skiers because I live in a resort area like this. And when COVID hit, I did boot camps and circuit training, and I kicked their butts, but I also had a senior population that were older, like over 70. And I kept those people because they need me, and so that's who I'm basically training now. I don't really have any younger clients. Yeah. And they're, it's satisfying to me. I'm helping them out through their senior years, and it's, of course, I'm the age of a lot of them, but not.
I know.
I feel like you don't see yourself as a senior, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You mustn't see. It must be really a very surreal experience when you do have a client come in and they're much less functional than you, because you're obviously hugely functional. And we know that if you can maintain your functionality as you age, that's the key. That is the key. Being able to walk and being able to like lift and get up and down out of a chair,
get off the ground,
Yeah. And these are the things that, I know with my elderly parents who have not, looked after themselves. Love you, mum and dad, but, we all have a parent that hasn't looked after themselves, and the functionality really reduces very, very quickly if you're not working on it.
Oh, it's
and
amazing.
So that they must come in there and you must just go, wow, I'm like, thank you to me for looking after myself.
All these
Yeah,
decades, yeah.
I don't think of myself as 71 at all. I mean, when I have to say it and continually say it to think that, because I don't think of myself. And the same with my husband. He's 80 and he's amazing. I mean, he comes down and, he's not squatting 400 pounds like he used to when he played football, but he's very functional. And he is like, compared to other 80-year-old men, he's like, you're kidding me, So it's, I think that's a mindset, huge. I mean, it's also taking care and being strong and being able to, flexible and, balance and all that. But it's a mindset too, because I don't think of myself at 71.
I like it's, you're quite timeless and ageless, really. It's that old saying, well, age is just a number to an extent, right? But it really, really is. Like, if you have a idea of what 70-year-olds should look like and act like and be like, then eventually you're going to become that. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And
right.
Right, exactly. And I look at you and I'm like, well, she's just another 35-year-old woman going around doing her thing.
I don't know.
Honestly, seriously, like, I'm not even, that's not an
We-
exaggeration.
when you came up on Wendy's story a year ago, I had to screenshot the story and I'm zooming in on my phone. I'm zooming in and I'm like, would you look at this? And I zoomed in. I took about 3 screenshots of the zoom ins at different things and I sent them across to Rose. I'm like, I think they're lying. I don't think she's 70.
Like, she can't be.
Not only that, but she's just placed top 3.
And I'm like, I don't know. Hey, she's like very young looking. And then we're like, let's go to her page. So then we went and got to your page and
totally stalked you.
Totally stalked you. Yeah, we
stalked you. Shoot, there's hope for us after all. And we're zooming in. I was like, oh my God.
No, you guys have 30 years, let me tell you, or more. By the time, you reach my age, I use like a red therapy mask and I do things like that. I go to get facials a lot and, because, it's great from here down, but this is real hard to keep young looking, this here is the hard part.
I'm hearing you.
But I love my dermatologist. Well, she's a nurse, but she, I do the Botox and I mean, I haven't had a facelift and I've gone back and forth with it, but I don't really need one. And Wendy has turned me on to so many great products and, and I've used good products over the years. I don't bake myself in the sun, so I think I've maintained the skin on my face, but it's hard.
Incredible.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God, you have. Yeah. You look amazing.
Yeah. They say as you age, you've got 2 choices. It's your head or your ass. And
yeah, that's what they say.
Well, Sandy used to go to this gym in La Jolla, California. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's in Southern California. And the guy that owned it, and he was playing football then, was a strength coach for the Chargers. And he was very busy. And he had a lot of women. Raquel Welch came to him, a lot of famous actresses. And he said, if only, like half the women that I trained would take better care of their bodies from here down, because they were all like gorgeous here, but they didn't take care of themselves. And he'd get a hold of them. And in fact, I think he was one of the first guys that trained me back in the day. But I'll tell you, it's so important. I would never do anything to this unless I had this exactly where I wanted it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. What would be one of the highlights, I guess, out of since you've been back into it for the last 8 years, what's the highlight for you through that journey?
The highlight, I'd say, oddly enough, it wasn't getting my pro card, because I was like, well, now what do I do? I didn't really know what I didn't expect myself to go this far. But the highlight, I think, in this journey is meeting the people I've met. Oh my gosh, you know, my coaches, my teammates. Oh, I just have some awesome teammates, and some of them I've met, some of them I haven't, you know, they're just on, you know, Instagram. And yeah, and but they're so supportive and just so, you know, amazing. And of course, like the promoters, like um Chris and Boyana, they put on beautiful shows, and
Love them.
you know, just being a part of it. It's like an honor to be a part of this group, you know, I keep saying at my age, but it is an honor. I mean, imagine, you know, I'm the oldest one, always, you know.
It's so great. It's so great.
So, but it is an honor, and it's I'm getting used to it. I don't want to not be used to it, because it's, you know, really fun. And look at the people I'm meeting. Look at you guys, and you know, I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely. Even,
yeah,
you know, one day, you know, if we choose to stop competing for whatever reasons, whether it's our bodies giving up on us or just our times, we feel like our time's done for them, we'll still be a part of the sport and still promoting the sport.
Always,
you know, still training for the rest of our lives, and you know, bringing that community get together with Go Figure, like it's something that we're extremely passionate about and continuing to do. And so I think, you know, on that sense, you know, that's great, because that's been a highlight for both myself and, you know, Rose. I won't speak for you actually. So, but it has been a highlight for me as well.
Absolutely. No, me too. Me too. It's the people that you meet, the connections that you make, and just the, you know, I think the women in our sport, we kind of have this unspoken camaraderie, don't we? Because we get it. We get what all of us are going through. We get how tough it can be. We get that, you know, that we've all got like outside duties because we're women, we're mothers, we're sisters, we're aunts, we're daughters, you know, we're all of those other things. Yeah, grandmothers, you know. We're so many things to so many people too. And you know, the nature of women is that we're often caregivers to others as well. So I think there's this beautiful camaraderie amongst us that we kind of like, it's like this nod, you know, this silent nod, like, yes, girl. Like,
no, it is. And I think in our sport, it's even more highlighted, because, you know, when I was a runner, we didn't do this. We'd have coffee together, and you know, when we got done with our runs at, you know, 11 o'clock, but we didn't share the same, like, yeah, I get it. It's, you know, I mean, it's tough to run a race, but it's so different than this. This is like, it wasn't all consuming like this is. This is my life. This is my wake up, go to sleep, thinking, dreaming, bodybuilding, you know.
And it's like you said, it's so ingrained, it's so patented now. It's a lifestyle, and that's something that is I mean, this is why you're so this is Barry, by the way. You know,
hey Barry. Hey Baz.
This is why you're so. Oh, you've got one too.
No, but mine's a dog that's smaller than your cat.
Wow, what's one? Is he a Chihuahua or something?
Yes.
Chihuahua. Oh, I really love Chihuahuas. Oh, I've been looking for a Chihuahua.
She won't come. She's on her bed.
Oh, she's like, I'm sleeping.
Yeah, so she's a little princess, so.
Yeah.
She's 15, and my our other one, we have 2 Chihuahuas. They're long hair, and he's 19.
Wow.
Wow.
Small dogs really last long, because I had a Chihuahua as well, and in 18 years out of her.
I had one too. Her name was Coco. 17. She was 17. Yeah.
Come here. Oh, she's like, oh.
She's like, oh,
talk about
getting me up.
Yeah, love it. She's a little stiff, but anyway.
So, like, So Sandy, I was going to call you Sandy. There you go, Missy. You remind me like Sandy Williamson. You
You
both
do.
of you have the
Actually,
same kind of like. Are you
yeah.
sisters? You know.
I love her. She
I
is,
love it too.
you know, that we competed in the same era.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
because she started back then as well. That was one
She
question
said
I was
that
going
we
to ask you.
competed in a contest. She said we did compete in a contest together. Like I said, I was like in the clouds back then. So I don't really remember, but yeah, she when she was giving her little talk before our competition down in a few weeks ago, she said, you know, Missy and I, when she called me up to get my packet, and she said we competed together back, and I went, oh,
Wow, so
awesome.
amazing. I love her. She's
I know.
just got the best
Energy.
energy.
Oh.
Yes, yes. Oh
You
my
know,
God.
and
She
she's
does.
always smiling at the athletes when they come out on stage, and she's there at the end to give them the feedback. And you know,
She's a love.
Yeah, a real passion.
When
A real
she
love
saw
for
me
it.
there, we were checking in and we stayed in the same hotel, and she just ran up and gave me a hug. And I'm like, oh, you know, it was thrilling that because not everybody's like that. You know, some people are standoffish, you know, but yeah, she's wonderful. And yeah, it's great.
So, you know,
This whole thing is great.
it really is. And there's probably people listening to this today that are thinking about getting in it, and they might say, oh, you know, I'm too old, or I'm too this, or I'm too that. So what's your words of wisdom for people that are wanting to get into the sport, maybe are already in the sport and questioning whether or not, you know, they're competitive enough, or they're too old, for example? What kind of wisdom and advice would you give?
Well, first of all, I would say that find yourself a good coach, and really a good coach, like really research it. That's the most important thing, because if you don't have that relationship with a coach and coaching, you're going to flail. It's going to be hard. You know, you can't do it from bodybuilding.com, or it doesn't work. And also, I think that just you have to remember that you're not always going to be perfect, and don't look at Instagram or your social media and compare yourself. Comparison is the
Thief of all joy. It's the thief
yes,
of all joy.
I have that in I don't know why my brain it's in my gym, because we all do it, and that's really a tough one. I think comparing yourself is really hard. And come here, Jojo. Come here.
Oh,
Oh,
yes, Jojo.
He's here. Come here.
Yeah, get it.
Jojo.
Oh, so cute. Oh my goodness. Oh my God, she looks like Fitzy. She looks like mine. I'll have to send you a photo of Fitzy, which honestly is almost identical to this. With shorter hair, same mask and everything. Yeah.
He's
Oh,
also my mental health.
I love
But
it.
anyway, I would just say, you know, and don't give up. I mean, it's so, oh man, I'm losing battery here. Uh-oh. I hope can I get the, shoot.
Yeah, no, we're here. We're still
we're here.
here.
We're still
Okay.
here. We're here. Oh, she's just
Actually,
dropped down because it's gone flat.
oh, bless her. Oh, bless her.
It's all right, she'll come back in. But you know what's really funny about this as well is that this happened with Wendy. Remember when we were trying to get I think it's like episode 5 or episode 6. Yeah. And we couldn't get her on.
Should we message her to come back in?
Yeah. So yeah,
we'll message
to the audience listening to this right now. We'll try and get her back on. We can't promise. But this happened with Wendy in episode 6, so her own coach. We tried so many different avenues to get her on to start with, and eventually we got there in the end, and you know, she dropped off and what have you. But yeah, that was actually quite funny. Love it. So
it's like the way that things happen. I've just sent her a message, but we'll see if she sees it. She might be scrambling.
Yeah, we'll give her a
She'll be
few
like me. I've done this before, and she'll be sweating and she'll be like panicking because she's been cut off. Oh,
yeah,
God love
yeah.
her. God love her.
Bless her cotton socks. But like she was right too, Rose. Like when she's like saying, find yourself a good coach. And I wanted to elaborate on that as well. It's like, well, what do you define as a good coach? Like
As
what
a
is a
great,
good coach? And someone that really cares about the athlete, that doesn't treat
yes,
the athlete like a number, that is there in the trenches with them, a little bit like what Dr. Gale was talking about
yes,
yesterday
absolutely. But
podcast.
that you have to look at them as a human being, and as that they're not a robot. These athletes aren't robots. They're real, living, live people with feelings, emotions, and lives outside of bodybuilding. And yeah, you need a coach that's going to be able to understand all of that and work with that.
Yeah, because, I mean, you
Yeah,
can imagine working with a 71-year-old athlete.
so much more that you'd have to be conscious of,
Mm.
right? There's
Yeah.
so much more that you'd have to be conscious of. Just,
Health,
the
health
fact that,
related. Yeah.
yeah. But look, guys, all I can say is you need to go and check out Miss Sandeman _ IFBB Pro.
Bring it up.
Her
Yeah. Yeah.
Instagram. Like, we're going to show you on the screen. So if you're watching YouTube, this is her
Yeah.
page,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sandeman.
Yeah. Yeah.
So MSANDEMAN _ IFBB Pro. And she's amazing, absolutely
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
The shape, muscularity, condition, she's got it all.
She's a little shredder. She honestly
She's
is.
a shredder. And I'm just like
so,
unbelievable.
so as a runner, think about this. It was 8 years ago. She was like 60. What was she? She's 64 years old, I think it was.
Yeah,
117 pounds. Can you work out in Australian how many kgs that is? What's 100 and what's that?
What
50.
was it again? 140? Was that 140 pounds?
No, 117 pounds.
117 to kilos. Okay, let's see what that is. That is 53 kilos.
53 kilos. So from 64 to 71, she's put on in muscle, like she's gone from there to 145 pounds. What's it? Gosh, 26
So
pounds.
145 is 65 kilos.
65 kilos. So she's gone from 53 to 60. She's put on 14 kilos in 8 years. And there's not an ounce of fat on that body either. So what is that telling you? What is that telling you, right? So it's telling you that, doesn't matter what age you are, your body is designed, to anabolize. It's designed to build, but it's also, depending on your lifestyle, can go the opposite way as well. So in my opinion, you're never too old to start something,
Absolutely.
So it's great to say, find yourself a good coach. Don't compare yourself to others on stage either. Like,
don't give up.
And honestly, and don't give up at all. And I know for a fact that we're going to have, she was talking about potentially doing the Triple O Dynasty show that I'm going to be doing in April next year as well, about coming over and doing that. So I would absolutely love to meet her, and I know you would too, because I'm dragging your ass over.
Absolutely. God, yeah. You don't have to drag me. I'll be coming with, quite happily and merrily.
Exactly. But, one of the things as well is, where she's like talking about not comparing yourself to others, is the compass or the GPS should be set to your own comparison, against you. And it's, a broken record, because you hear people say that, people affirm it on Instagram as well and all the rest of it. But it's really true, is that as long as you are doing, even if it's one small thing that you've done that makes you better at your next show, at your next competition, whatever it might be, then, that within itself is enough to keep you going, because you're not looking for perfection, you're looking for progress. Okay. And progress builds momentum, it builds motivation, it builds confidence, and having, and I think she would have said this as well, is having the right support around you as well.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
like, you know what I think we'll do? I think we'll finish it up, and then we'll finish
We're
it
gonna
up.
get it back on.
We're
We'll
gonna
get
get
it back on one day.
but we're gonna be posting this as well. So I hope everyone that's listening to this today has actually enjoyed it. I know that we have. She was one question short of us actually finishing the podcast anyway. So
Yeah.
but for anyone that is looking to compete, for anyone that is looking for inspiration to follow, like, you know, Missy is definitely the lady to hit a follow on, because she is truly inspirational. Mother, grandmother, wife, business owner, runs a B&B, you know, and she's also a testament that if you stay healthy and you start now, you're going to be healthy, you know, for the rest of your life, you know. And bodybuilding is something that you can do, like, ongoing, you know, throughout your years
Absolutely.
in different, you know, aspects of your life. So everyone, thank you for coming. Thanks for tuning in to us. Rose, again, as always, it's always a pleasure. And
Love you, girl.
we'll love you too, girl. And here's to our 40th episode.
Woo! Did it.
We did it.